Hi, this is Mrs. Hoskins here, and this is my first attempt ever at one of these video recordings, so I'm going to try and get you through a lesson today that we would have been doing, but since we're not in school, we'll do it this way. So today we're going to do 3 laws of logarithms, and the 3 you see here in green, and we're just going to go through an example of each. In this particular one, 2 would be the same as m, and n would be x in this problem. So this is just going to become the log base 2 of 2, and then the formula says plus log base 2 of x. Now that would be simplified, except we know that the power you put on 2 to get 2 is 1, so I can write this as 1 plus log base 2 of x. Second law is similar, but now when we're dividing, we're going to subtract our powers. And remember, these are really exponents, so that kind of follows along with the rules that we did before. So in this case, I have m would be 2. So this is going to become log base 2 of 2. And then I have minus, and n is going to be the x here. So minus log base 2 of x. And once again, we can simplify and make that 1 minus log base 2 of x. And our last rule here, let's just show an example of this. This one's actually probably the most commonly used. We're going to use this in our next lesson too. It just says that when you have a log and then the number here is raised to a power, you can take that power and you can bring it out in front and multiply. So we're multiplying here. So I'm going to bring this power x out in front. So that's going to give me x times log base 2 of 2, which is x times 1. So simplified, that's going to be x. And you can probably tell that I have a cold right now too, so I'll do my best through this. All right, moving on here. Let's just look at a couple of examples of how we're going to use these rules. Here, my goal is I want to break this apart and separate it into as many logs as possible. So looking at the big picture here, I have a number raised to a power. So I'm going to use rule number 3, and I'm going to bring this out in front first. So that's going to give me 4 log n times m squared. Well, now when I take a look at the big picture here, I basically have a product. So I'm going to use the first rule that says I can split this into 4. I'm going to need parentheses here because it's going to be log of n plus log of m squared. So I'm using rule number 1 there. Now I can still do some simplifying right here. Rule 3 says I can pull that out in front. So I'm going to have 4 log n plus 2 log m. And let's just distribute that 4. So basically what's going to happen here is I'm going to get things spread apart as much as possible, and I'm going to get it down to just log. Maybe I'll have something multiplied out in front, but I'm not going to have any powers in here or products or quotients or anything. All right, let's look at this next one. See, for this one, my big picture here is I have this square root, which is the same thing as the 1/2 power. So I'm going to take that 1/2 power, which is from rule number 3. Okay, so we're just going to think of this, the square root's gone. I'm replacing it with 1/2, and I'm going to pull that out in front. So I'm going to have 1/2 log PQ squared over R cubed. Now when I look at my big picture here, this is a quotient. So I'll use the second rule. So I'm going to make that 1/2, going to need parentheses here, log PQ squared minus log R cubed. It's pretty complicated because in this one you see a power and a product. The power only applies to Q, so I'm going to look at this as a product and apply my product rule. So that's going to give me 1/2 log, this is rule number 1, P plus log Q squared, and then I still have the minus log R cubed. And now when I look at this, I see this power and this power that can come out in the front. So that'll give me 1/2 log P plus 2 log Q minus 3 log R. And the only thing I can see that we can do from here is multiply this 1/2. So 1/2 log P plus log Q minus 3/2 log R. Notice we got it down to just a log P, a log Q, and a log R, maybe some coefficients in front. Now there's probably a different order I could have done this in. I'm just showing you one order, but in most cases you're going to have to make sure that you see the big picture and follow that. All right, I'm going to stop.